Hi again. Today we'll be covering next steps after choosing a college campus. My name is Nancy Rocha, working with GearUp as the Family Involvement Coordinator. Today we'll be going over Student Portal, what that might look like for your student after they accept the college campus, example of financial aid award letter and offers and how that might look like for your student, as well as more housing resources and registering for classes and orientation. Have you thought about what are your next steps after choosing a college campus? We'll begin with the student portal. Student portals give your students access to a lot of very important information. For example, here they will have access to their personal information. If any changes need to be made or updated, the student portal will be a great resource and starting point. Your students will also have access to their student schedule. They'll have information for registering for classes for the upcoming quarter or semester. If they have any holds, they will be notified here as well. They'll have access to their grades and transcripts, financial aid award letters, and any outstanding fees. This is an example of how a student portal might look like. You will see the different things highlighted here that are important for your student to look over when they have access to the student portal. First thing here, where it says you are not enrolled in classes, once your student has enrolled in classes, they'll have their class schedule here. Holds. Students can have holds for financial aid award letters or even to register for classes, which means, and it takes us to the to-do list, if there's any items pending here, that might be the reason why your student has holds. For example, this student still needs to turn in their final high school transcript. That might be the same case for your student, so make sure if you have any to-do list items, you get to them as soon as possible. In the student portal, your student will also have information and access to their account, setting up their e-refund to get that electronic refund if they're receiving any grants or loan money, and overall, to be able to look at their financial aid package. As you can see, this student has already enrolled in classes and now they have a class schedule here. They have the classes that they're taking based on their schedule with the dates, times, and the room numbers as well. Another important feature from here will be the enrollment dates. This is important because each student will have an enrollment date and time in order to be able to register for upcoming classes. An advisor is also a very important person to connect with because they can support your student and guide them with any major or minor program questions. Now let's share a little bit about financial aid. Some important dates to keep in mind. This year, financial aid applications are changing. The application is to be open at the end of December 2023. The application is due April 2nd, 2024. However, we still encourage students to turn in their financial aid applications by March 2nd in order to receive a better package for both federal and state financial aid. Now let's share an example of what a financial aid letter might look like for your student. There are some different things to make note of here. For example, the award. Are your students receiving loans? Are they receiving grants? What type of loans? What type of grants? Just a quick recap. Loans is money that you borrow and you need to pay back. Grants is free money that does not need to be paid back. You can see after each award, it has the category and it's also letting you know what amount has been offered. After your student accepts, you'll have here the accepted amount. Another important thing to make note is your student can either accept all, decline all, or accept how they choose. They could either accept the grants, the free money, or the loans, the borrowed money. Then they submit, and that is going to finalize their award letter. Next is college decision. What are the next steps after choosing a college? When does your student have to decide what college they decide to accept? Here's an important date to keep in mind. May 1st is the deadline for your student to make a choice of which college they plan to attend. Admissions acceptance. Your son or daughter should accept admission to the university of their choice, which will grant them a space for the next school year. They must also register for an orientation, and this is usually required when accepting admission. An orientation is going to provide students with an opportunity to receive advising, register for classes, and learn about their school. Every school is different, so if your student needs to see how much the fees are for the registration, and they also might have fee waivers. If you cannot make the orientation, you need to let your school know right away. Here, we're providing an example of how you would register for the orientation for CSU Sacramento, Sac State. You will register for the orientation by logging into My Sac State, which is your student portal. And in that student center, then you will register for the orientation. Following the registration for orientation steps on the student portal, you must also ensure to pay the orientation fees on time. For example, Sacramento has different fees. If only the student is attending, it is $76. If a parent or guardian would like to attend with the student, it is $68. Sacramento has different paying options. For example, you can pay using the pay link, or you could also send a check or money order to the school. Sometimes students are not able to pay for the orientation at that moment. Some schools might offer a fee reduction or even waivers for orientation. For example, Sacramento has a fee reduction form. You would be filling that out after registering for orientation. Make sure to check with your respective school to see what options they have, but please ensure to register for orientation. Housing. Universities also require an application and deposit for students who want to live in the student housing. Housing might be the dorms, so the university will require that application and deposit. If your students are living off campus, they might also require an application and deposit. And each deposit is going to vary, and it could vary from $100 up to $900. This is an example for housing. So living on campus and filling out that application. Students need to apply to housing sooner rather than later, and applications can be filled out by logging into the students portal for each respective school. Registering for classes. It is important that your son or daughter check their emails, which is the way the universities will communicate with them. Universities will give your student a date and time in which they can register for courses to be taken. Additionally, courses can be given to students on the day of their orientation. We want to give you here some time to think. What is the fear your student has about going to college? What is your student looking forward to as they prepare for college? How can Gear Up continue supporting you and your student? We hope that this information has been helpful and that you and your student will find all of these resources useful. Again, if you would like to set up an academic advising meeting with me, please call me or text me at 831-706-7426. Thank you.